Hey guys, Troy Francis. Welcome to another Rule Zero with obviously myself, your wonderful host today, wearing my Hugh Hefner dressing gown. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I've gone full Hefner for this, as I thought that would be appropriate. And I'm joined, as always, by a wonderful panel of highly esteemed world-class guests, including, I'll just go around the panel actually. We can just say hello quickly, say what's up. So, Ryan, how you doing? You good?
Book's finished. I'm done. I don't have to write or read anymore.
Amazing.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
That must feel fantastic. I mean, and the book is like, and how's the book doing so far? It seems to be storming, but
that part is doing well. For the first 3 months, I get to sit here and ride the high. I'm looking like a best-selling author, so I'm taking it for all it's worth.
Very nice, very good. And Glenn Lawrence, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad, man. I mean, I'm sitting here in London, which is the worst possible thing you can do, really, because it's fucking freezing. I mean, the only worst thing I could do than this would be sitting in Warsaw. So it's a bit better than that, but London's fucking cold. It's dark. It's pretty miserable. But
it sounds like Washington State.
Yeah, it's it is what it is, though, man. I mean, I've got into monk mode. I've done what all these guys on Twitter say. I'm doing monk mode. I'm keeping my head down. I'm working out. I'm working. That's it.
I feel you.
Yeah. How have you been though, Glenn? Are you good?
I'm good. Just been, busy going back and forth from Los Angeles and Vegas. So
nice.
Grinding away.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. And Mr. Paul Bauer, Come On Man podcast. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing good. My speaking of books, my autograph versions keep selling out as fast as I can get them in, so that's a good problem to have. I have 3 more coming in this week, guys, the special edition, so better order now because they're going to be gone by the time I get them.
That's cool, man. I mean, all of you guys with your books, you're making me, because basically, so my next project is actually a book. I am going to do another book. It is going to be about dating. I'm going to try and do a sort of, when Rouge did that like dating Bible and he actually called it Game, and people were kind of like, not horrified, but they were like, the balls of that, just to imply that you've just summarized everything about Game because you're such a world expert. Well, I'm going to try and do something like that myself, but that's going to be the next project coming up. Nuke, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you, Troy? I survived the winter blast here in Texas, so I've been inside for like 2 weeks. I go out to work and then I go stay inside or walk the dog, and that's it. So yeah,
nice.
Just chilling.
Good stuff. And of course, Mr. Thor.
Skull you Saturday cartoon morning watching Rule Zero Savages.
The world's greatest masculine dominance expert is in the house.
Yeah,
right?
Book sales are doing rather well 6 months in. I'm kind of shocked, actually.
That is fantastic, bro. That's really, really good. I mean, it's an excellent book. I always recommend it to my people. So,
thank you, sir.
Well done on that. That's fantastic. And Mr. Cappy.
Good morning.
The world's grumpiest manosphere content creator.
I'm not grumpy. I'm very happy. I got a new chair. Look, it leans back. Look at that, huh? Look at that.
That's good.
Yeah, it's not a fold-out chair that I'm using here. I'm making the Southern Command proper. So my buttocks.
What Salvation Army did you get that at?
Let me tell you something, Thor. I dropped, if you could believe this, $119 on a new office chair with recliners, and it's got the wheels and it's got the adjustment so I can fake looking tall. It's a very nice, nothing but the finest Office Depot offers.
Wow, what got into you?
My ass started hurting sitting on a fold-out chair for 3 years. I said, you know what? I think I could afford a comfy chair.
They make those fold-out chairs that actually have a pad for the butt and back.
This one does, no, but after a while, you need to lean back. Thor, when you get to be my age, I know young pups like you don't listen to the advice of your elders. When you get to be my age, Thor, then you'll understand.
I see. How's that? I got to go backwards 7 years.
So I think what's that thing called at the lower back? I think it's quite important.
Lumbar.
Yeah, well, because I've got this chair. It's pretty good, I think, and it's got this like it kind of comes forward at the lower back, so it gives you that support there, which I think is quite important.
I like just living purposely poor. Like, okay, think church fold-out chair. There's nothing more uncomfortable. So any slight increase is like this luxurious lifestyle improvement.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not joking. Last year, I got my first car with an electric door unlock thing, a key fob. And yeah, I think I'm set. I'll be 80 years old and I'll be like, wow, flat panel TVs, who would have known? And then I'll die a happy man.
There is something to be said about that delayed satisfaction, because essentially that's what you're doing. And that's extremely gratifying if you've gotten in that habit.
It's like a dog gets a used tennis ball. I just got a basic office chair, and I actually am markedly happier, for this 2-hour period. Talk to me in 3 hours, I'm sure I'll be pissed off again. But for now, I'm happy.
But I mean, you really are living the minimalist dream, aren't you? But I mean, do you have a sort of, I mean, are there certain things you think, well, look, this is for work, so therefore, okay, fine.
Yeah, I mean, like I got a travel laptop because I'm traveling overseas, so I've spent money on a new laptop. And then it's not the irony. I think most of you guys know, if you're a minimalist, the money adds up. And then as an economist, you're like, well, what do I do with this money? And you got to, I'm not leaving it to charity or children or you guys. I'm going to spend it. So then you're like, okay, maybe I can afford a nice thing. So I will go out and afford a nice dinner.
Fuck them kids.
I'll pay gas.
When you do cash in that Roth IRA, the Japanese, they actually have a massage chair that does a reach around, so you'll be set.
Yeah, well, maybe I get a bidet, but right now we're not yet at that. But I enjoy the fact I don't need the money, and there's the calm and stability that comes with it. So one of these days, maybe I'll get something nice.
If you guys haven't sat on one of those Japanese toilets yet, you're really missing out on life.
What you mean the chair will actually give you a happy ending?
Well, it does a reach around. Let's just put it that way. I didn't say happy ending, but you'll be
doesn't sound happy at all.
After you're done?
It's warm. It's wet. It's a wonderful.
Listen to your elders, kid. You two could be like Thor.
I'm
alone in my chair is jerking me off. That is not a happy ending.
Oh,
does it leave after you're done with it?
It really is, Ryan.
And we are also now joined on the panel by the man, the myth, the legend, John Fitch. How are you doing today?
What's up, you kids? You guys talking about retirement?
Just
It's
it's nice. You guys should try it sometime. I've been retired for 3 years now, effectively. That's the big secret. I'm retired. Like I don't really have to make any money right now.
That's super awesome.
So the stuff you're doing with your programs and stuff like that, is that more just for personal satisfaction?
It's more for fun. It's more because I want to teach, because people need education. People need it. I enjoy it. It's fun to do. I'm trying to put together my Fitch Smash system, right? Like the Gracies have their Gracie Combat stuff. They got a website and not podcast, but app and all that stuff. I want to try to get something like that. So that's kind of like a legacy I want to leave behind. The knowledge that I've developed over the years of my fighting stuff. That's what I want to do. My main focus in my life right now is taking care of my kids and hanging out with my kids.
Yeah.
But I'm not focused on just making money. And I'm I guess what you would call minimalist, but from what my dad taught me, just from observation, was don't be wasteful. Don't be wasteful. Like, why do you really need that? If you got a tool that works, use it. You don't need to buy 6 other ones because the brand new version came out.
It's true. I mean, like I'm kind of minimalist in a way. I mean, I've got my place here now is pretty small. I don't have like loads of material stuff, but then I end up spending a shitload of money anyway, and it tends to be on sort of wine, women, and song essentially. Well, not wine. I don't drink, but the wine for them, whatever. So like, and I was hitting it quite hard actually over the Christmas period. I had a few kind of little excursions with some young ladies and stuff like that, and then I looked at my bank balance and I'm like, oh shit, I need to write another book, guys. This is not going in the right direction. So
such a Bukowski thing to say. I love it.
So this summer we'll be blessed with a bunch of little Troys.
Well, let's see. Maybe we'll see how things go. But basically, for this stream, I've called this exposing the Matrix's attack on masculinity. What's really going on? I mean, obviously, we've talked about this before. I don't have any huge sort of agenda for this, except, I mean, you guys might be aware or you might not, but my friend James Tusk, his channel was deleted about a week ago. He had in the big scheme of things, it wasn't enormous. It was like 37,000 subscribers, but nevertheless, he had a lot of very engaged, people who really loved his stuff. he was certainly in terms of him having a business based on that, it was very, very good because he was one of the premier people to go to for day game training, which is going and meeting girls in real life in the flesh and not hiding behind an app, but actually going out to the coffee shop or the bar and meeting them. And overnight, his channel was nuked, and people have come up with different reasons for that. I mean, I've been calling it a matrix attack, which obviously, some people are on board with, other people are kind of ridiculing. I think the term matrix, obviously, with the Tates and everything, but I think it's kind of a an allegory, isn't it? In terms of, I mean, I'm not personally saying, I think there's some like government plan to take down James Tusk. I mean, that would be ridiculous, but it does seem to be in line with this just overarching kind of pattern of any channels that seem to be to do with masculinity to either be getting demonetized or just shut down or whatever. So I guess
the digital longhouse.
Yeah, so I guess I mean
Digital
my
longhouse.
first question, and by the way, I mean he hadn't done anything massively outrageous, particularly. I mean, he had a bunch of infields on there where he's talking to girls and stuff, and people were saying, "Well, you're filming girls online," but it's perfectly legal to film in public. That's and unless somebody complained, but even if somebody complained, they would probably go to him, and he would have just taken down the video anyway. So we don't think it's that because that's been up there for ages. People said, well, he, made some references to drugs and things like that. Well, okay, but, it was always in a kind of humorous way. He's also been doing that for years. Other people don't do that. I do that as well. So I don't think it's that.
Targeted. For
So
sure.
he didn't get any kind of warnings leading up to it. He didn't have videos that were,
No.
removed or demonetized ahead of that.
No.
It just got deleted one day.
That was the thing. And all it was, and again, people think we're using this as a conspiracy theory to sell our course, but please buy our course. Yeah. But basically,
It's just a wonderful coincidence. That's it.
Yeah. No, people think it's a scam. People think he took his channel down as one of those publicity. And probably, listen, if I was outside of this, maybe I would think the same thing because, you know how we all talk and we, you see people. Well, we've talked about people like maybe faking their death and things like this, So there's always that suspicion, and I get that, but he genuinely didn't. Well,
But
unless
you said that he had 37,000 subscribers.
I
wouldn't want to. It's hard to get that many subscribers. I wouldn't want to just delete my channel as a publicity stunt.
No, well,
that's a dumb idea.
Yeah,
So,
as he said, I mean, his response, because he's been on stream with me this week, several times, and I mean, he said, well, listen, I know people are saying this, but it would be a ridiculously dumb idea because if you're trying to advertise something, it's better to have 37,000 people to advertise it to than none.
Then start at zero again, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Troy,
so-
I have a dumb question. Did YouTube give a reason?
No, well,
Okay.
they emailed him, and I haven't seen the email, but according to him, it just basically said, "Oh, you've contravened our terms and conditions, so that's it." They didn't. You know what these things are like. I mean, they didn't give anything specific.
Yeah, no, I just in case they
How long
said this
ago was it?
video, this thing.
No, I mean, because there's James, and he works with another guy called Les as his business partner, and they are obviously, I think they're exploring avenues to see if there's anything they can do. But you know what YouTube's like; it's like knocking on it's just knocking on the door, and there's no answer. So, it's not looking great. But no, they didn't really give a proper reason, and and it's kind of fucked up, isn't it? Because I mean, as Pearl obviously, as we know, got demonetized a while back, and I mean, she made
What?
the point. Yeah, didn't you know?
No, she blocked me ever since I made that she was screwing
Oh.
Kevin Savo joke.
No, so obviously Fresh and Fit were demonetized a while back, and then Pearl got demonetized a couple of months ago.
I think isn't whatever demonetized too?
Are they?
I think I thought I heard that, and I think they're
Hmm.
using like StreamYard to try to circumvent that.
Pearl is.
No, I got
Well,
a
Yeah,
small
we know Pearl is. Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
a small channel, and they limit all my ads
Really?
for like the first week or two, and I gotta contest it, and then somebody will review it, and then by the time it's your video is fine, it's already done with views.
Yep.
Yeah.
that's-
Same with.
Glenn and I kind of have a story too. When we first started the Dragon Tip, we did a 16-second video we lifted from YouTube that showed a man responding back to a woman who was violent with him. He essentially defended himself with a single punch, and she must have flown 17 feet. and we got deleted. I got deleted. And they wrote me back and said, because I was promoting violence, I actually wrote a legal letter to their legal department, and it was returned with a note that I had to remove that section.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I wasn't monetized at the time. However, when I did get monetized, every single video I make from now on comes back. No, I get no sharing, no ad sharing.
Yep.
I have to peel every single one.
No, I was doing learn to fight videos, and the whole thing there is to educate people how to avoid fights, not get into fights, what people did wrong in the fights. It's the opposite of promoting violence, but
Yeah.
I had to move it to Rockfin because
Right.
YouTube was just, they gave me a strike. They took videos down. Like none of them were monetized. It just was a waste of time to do it.
They took me down, but I ended up taking their course. So we'll see what happens next month if they can monetize immediately, or they're going to keep me on the list that no videos get monetized until I appeal.
Isn't the
One guy
CEO
that's
of
really
YouTube
good
a
with
woman?
this-
I got 2,000 followers, so there you
Do you
go.
guys know Donut Operator?
No.
He's this YouTuber. He always shows like police shooting videos. He has these exact same problems, and it's actually kind of funny. He turns it into a bit more of a creative thing. So anytime there's a shooting, he has to blur it, obviously. But he exchanges the sound of gunshots for duck quacks. Well, I mean, I always think of this stuff because I used to do risk analysis a lot for my job in information security, and a lot of it is like, how do you mitigate against this risk, which is difficult. Like for Tusk, I know was it Vimeo for a while there? They like banned all pickup stuff on their platform, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like
I
what I'm
don't-
surprised, and I talked to you about this too, like Pornhub. And everybody's laughs at that, but like weapon manufacturers, guys who make guns with their own tools and that, they actually have to go to Pornhub because they have less restricted stuff, and it's actually better for getting monetized than YouTube if you can get past the stigma, because they start you like day one, you get paid. It's like Twitch that way.
Oh, really?
That's
Yeah.
true.
Well, one man that probably is not going to go to Pornhub anytime soon. Godfather
And yeah,
of the Manosphere.
I mean, talk about going to where your audience is,
I
right?
will.
How are you doing?
You know,
I'm exploring all my options. I'll go to Pornhub.
Any plans for your Pornhub channel?
I'm not better than Pornhub.
yeah, you know, it's funny about Twitch that there's very specific rules about what angle of your boobs you can show, or what like side boob is okay, but like
Artistic.
under, yeah,
This-
under,
full frontal?
under boob.
This is
yeah.
not artistic.
Yeah, I remember.
Artistic.
I remember a
Can't show any
girl.
areola. No
Yeah.
areola.
Yeah, you can't show it. No, there's actual like amount of inches from your areola that you can show. Like maybe I think it's I'm serious. Like if you look at your
What
TOS.
if she has low areola? How do you know?
What if she
How
got
dare
you
you?
just
How
discriminating
dare you
against
comment on her
chicks with-
areola? How dare you?
We prefer high areola.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
guess I mean the big actually before we go into that though, John, I just wanted to ask you that other video platform that you're using. What's that? And is it good, or how's that working
Yeah,
out?
it's Rockfin. It's a crypto-based
Yeah.
platform. They've got politics, sports. Owen Benjamin is on there. So
Oh,
like, they you can pretty much say do whatever you want to on there. I've never got a strike or warning or anything from them.
What was your reasoning for that as opposed to say Rumble? Because I know a lot of people obviously moved over to Rumble.
Well, I know I got in early on Rockfin because I know some of the people who were on the early creators on there, and like less than 6 degrees of separation with the guys who created the platform. So I kind of got in early with that. So I went with that, and it's really easy to use. Rumble, I struggle with because I'm a
Yep, me
boomer.
too.
I don't really understand the interwebs,
Boomer.
and I don't know how to use it.
You are-
There's too many buttons. There's too many things. I can't
Yeah.
figure it out. I've been on there for over a year.
The Aaron
I tried to-
Clary paradox, I
I
see.
tried to upload my old videos, and only did some of them. And then I don't know, man. I'm already posting to like so many things. It's like I got to learn another one. I
Yeah.
struggle.
So
Get-
let me throw something out here real quick because I just became aware of this. I had a meeting, a whirlwind meeting just last Thursday because I go to Vegas. I have to do in and outs these days because I got Ned and I can't be away that long. But I had a meeting with these guys at a company called Viewit, VEUIT. I just put the link in the chat here just a minute ago. And it's a competitor. It's going to be a competitive platform to go head to head against like Rumble. and starting to see, and this they're out of Los Angeles, but the place their satellite, their main like studio is in Las Vegas, and it's right down by the airport. And I'm considering doing shows there right now. They have a large stage area. I'll show you guys some pictures here later in a minute. But they have the stage setup is not too different from Valuetainment. And it's got a large stage area. In fact, you could probably do, like Adam Sosnick could probably do his show, like how he does his, a Saucecast, very, very easily at this facility. But more, I was just going there to look for a new studio, just sort of like studio alternatives to, like, say, Sticky Paws, or like we have Red One, of course, in Vegas. But I was looking for something that's a little bit bigger, because the Access Vegas is starting to expand, right? So we're going from like having like 6 or 7 girls on a show to having like 14 girls on a show. And we are really cramped for, like Glenn knows, we're like just cramped for space in there. We got to sit on stools and shit now. So I went down to the studio. It's the View at Studio, VEUIT.com. And I didn't realize this at the time, but Cuba Gooding Jr. is one of the principal partners in this. So there's a lot of money behind this, and it's being set up as sort of an alternative to like YouTube for sure, but also like Rumble. And I'll tell you, people keep asking me like, Rolo, how come you haven't gone on Rumble? How come I am on Rumble? Access Vegas is on Rumble as well, but we mirror it. So our primary is still YouTube right now, because YouTube still owns the show, right? As long as you've got, they're as popular as they are, they got Google behind them, they got super chats. There's so many different ways to make money on Google. It's not just ad revenue. If you look at, like you guys were just mentioning a minute ago about Whatever Podcast, Brian runs Whatever Podcast like a fucking mercenary. And to his credit, runs it like a mercenary. Right. He's not in it for ad revenue. He's in it for farming super chats. You want to know why he goes for 5 and 6 hours at a clip? Because if he's got a good head of steam going, he's not going to stop it at hour 4. He's going to keep going until hour 6, because he doesn't even read a super chat unless it's $100 super chat on there. And he's got it set up. And if you go and you look at his analytics on, say, like Social Blade, or if you look at his analytics on like playboard.co, it looks like he's not making that much money, because he's not going primarily through, or he's not just using super chats through YouTube. He's also doing it through OBS. And he's so he's getting, so most of his money is coming through OBS style super chats. He even has, like, if you go and you look on any of his videos, I'll go call it up here in a second, but if you look at the description of any of his Whatever Podcast videos, it's very specific. It's in the very first, like, top, 4 or 5 lines of the description, how the super chats work. You don't even get it read on air if it's under $100. If it's I don't know, if it's like 50 or 20 or something like that, they'll show it on the screen, but they won't like recognize it unless it's a certain denomination. If you want to give them a $500 super chat, you can mute someone's mic for like 10 minutes. It's like genius, like level, like how can we like stagger our profit margin in this? What can we do? Because I know Brian is just sort of like, when it comes to topics and everything like that, he's just mercenary. He'll do whatever. He'll have the sex doll on there, and then he'll have the Christian pastor like sitting right next to him and go, those fucking red pill guys need to man up, and I can't believe this promiscuity and blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, you got the sex doll up. That's just over there. Pocket pussies and everything. And granted, he's no longer selling pocket pussies, but that sex doll's been there since day one.
Repent. You repented.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying is, like, there's ways that there's different formats to make money online. If all you're doing is getting, like, if you're using your YouTube to direct traffic to where you make the money, like to where your payment processor is. I don't know what James Tusk's like profit model was.
Yes.
I don't think it was engagement media, in the sense that he was like, we're doing it right now with the chats. Yeah. So there's live streaming as a profit model is almost always based on super chats. That's why it hurt Myron and Fresh so much and Pearl so much when they got demonetized, because now they have to do workarounds. They're still on. They can still broadcast on YouTube. They just can't make money off of YouTube.
Yeah, well,
So they'll still use that audience, but they're going to use that audience and say, okay, if you want to like get a super chat on, you've got to go through this new third party thing. And the thing is YouTube is fucking themselves by doing this because they're making 30% off of each one of those super chats. And if they're $500, $500, $100, that adds up to a lot of money real quick. And if you're going through a third party that's only taking 10%, like
isn't YouTube,
isn't
YouTube getting paid by the government for their DEI score though? Isn't that how a lot of these companies are profiting now? They're screwing themselves over by enforcing this woke nonsense, but they're getting money from the government for having a high DEI score.
It's a loan situation.
God, look who's still monetized and look who's not monetized.
Well, Rollo, can I ask something? So there's a couple of things. So yeah, you're right. Regarding Tusk, he was monetized and he was getting some ad revenue, but to my knowledge, from everything he told me, not a lot. You know, he wasn't making he wasn't making a living off of it. It was a small amount of money coming through. Obviously, his main thing was funneling people through to selling boot camps and other training. That's the same thing as me because I'm actually demonetized as well. I'm not even demonetized for content. I'm just for this stupid invalid click activity thing. So you know, I've obviously got the channel, but it's a marketing vehicle. It's not to do ad revenue. Yeah. But when you're talking about the super chats workaround, and this is actually something obviously that interests me because then I think, well, maybe I should be using OBS or I should be using something. But doesn't those extra steps? Doesn't that put people off from giving money? Because then it's not a simple thing on YouTube. Now it's like, oh, I've got to go to this other side.
Yes and no. It depends on how popular the podcast is. So like someone like Myron and Fresh, they put a lot of they doubled down after their demonetization. So they're still demonetized off of YouTube, but they use YouTube as their vehicle. They'll be on YouTube for the first hour or so, and then they kill that stream and they go completely over to Rumble. Again, YouTube, by demonetizing Myron and Fresh, is only helping their competitors by doing that, because you can go and give all kinds of money on, and because what they do is now they're going through, I don't know if they're doing OBS or whatever. They've like Chris Pogson has standardized on StreamYard for so long. I don't know that he knows how to do anything. I love Chris, but I don't think he knows how to do much more than that. They've worked end around so that they can put like, it can superimpose like things on the screen, or they'll just stack them up, and then Myron and Fresh will just read them, one at a time, and they'll go through it and they'll read it to the girls, and people still feel like they've got that engagement. But the fact that they have to do that workaround, yeah, it is. It was a little bit of work on their end to do so, but now they've sort of recovered from it because they're going through a third-party chat app of some sorts, and then they still got Rumble as well, and they can take the all they got to do is just do screen caps of the Rumble super chats, and they'll put them up on YouTube. So you can take Rumble super chats and broadcast them on YouTube because you're demonetized on YouTube. And again, yeah, it's a pain in the ass. They're still doing okay, but they're not. I mean, if you go and you look at who is the #1 most super chatted show on the internet right now, it's going to be probably some like little kids anime thing that goes on for hours and hours and hours. Like that's another profit model, is having like ambient music or having like faceless YouTube channels. You can have like my wife loves the cool jazz thing with some like AI backgrounding, like a fire burning and a thing.
Yeah. I love that too. I put that on all the time.
Super popular, and they're super profitable too. Like dumb bonehead shit like that you wouldn't even like think of. People are making money hand over fist off of ambient stuff like that too.
So you're 100% right. When I was on with Fresh and Fit just 2 weeks ago, they were superimposing Rumble super chats because the questions were coming to me about some of the trade craft, and they just came right up. I was like, oh, they must have figured it out. So
all YouTube did is cost themselves 30%. And Fresh and Fit are making an extra 20%.
I think they're going to make it more.
Do they really care though? Because this is always the thing, isn't it? Because you look at these channels, and obviously, like Fresh and Fit, Pearl and stuff. They're big channels in our zone. We look at them. These are big guys. What are they doing? They're losing all this revenue. But is the bigger thing that actually YouTube just doesn't really care? Because in the wider scheme,
they have to care.
They don't care. They don't care.
No, they don't care until they have to care.
In the bigger scheme.
I think you're right, Toy. I think they don't care, but there's a reason. Do you guys remember the Elon advertising thing?
Yep.
Where he started charging the $8 for this. He tried to bring advertisers back, and everybody was talking about that. I didn't know this, but Apple, $100 million a year for advertising on Twitter, and they pulled it for the Elon takeover.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how popular Tate Myron, add those guys and Jesus Christ himself. I guarantee you they aren't putting in the kind of money that somebody like Apple's putting in. Correct. And if Apple says, I don't want this guy ranting about hoes and White Claws, they're going to pull it. I guarantee the government is probably throwing a lot of money in there for. I know the Canadian government's throwing money at him for Canadian content. YouTube's got some big people.
Yep.
And I really don't think our rinky dink talking about our dicks podcast really give a shit. Like, I don't think they give a shit.
Right. Yeah. They're definitely a member of the WEF. So ESG scores is super important to them to borrow.
Well, they're a vendor. They're not a client.
They have to borrow for operating capital and expansion. That's a really big deal. These corporations don't run on their own money. They run on other people's money. So these ESG scores are super important. And of course, DEI couples right along with it. And I'm starting to see corporations starting to hurt, even locally, by following that model.
Go woke, go broke.
Well,
Sports Illustrated, rip.
Well, it comes down to human error, is what it is. Like the human element that's in all of this. Like I've had this conversation with my wife before because she used to be in medical imaging. I can say that now. And like she's running like a $4.5 million like CT scanner, or there's like, you've got a fMRI, scanner, if you've got, ultrasound and stuff like that. You've got these technologies that are like godlike technologies. And you know what fucks up a $5 million CT scanner? One person. Like egos between, like, some bitch says, I need to get more hours, that kind of shit, but that back and forth. You could save like lives like we've never been able to save lives before in the history of humanity. All boils down to like, oh, like she talks shit about me today. And all it is the human element in all of this. So like if the corporate culture at Google is woke, if the corporate culture is like, Gen Z fuckwits coming out of college going, we're going to change the world and, be the change you want to see in the world. And, Mahatma Gandhi, if that's the mentality, if that's the zeitgeist, that's what directs that corporation until it's no longer sustainable. And somebody comes out of college and goes, you know what? Fuck this. I want to be more conservative or whatever. Fuck this. I'm going to vote for Trump. Fuck this. I'm watching Jack Reacher, whatever it is. If that's going to change, it's really the human element in all of this. I mean, we've got this godlike technology where we can do this today, and we can, we've got StreamYard. I've got my whole studio in the back here and everything else. We've never been able to do this in the history of mankind. And now we can, but it still boils down to some fuchsia-haired kid at Google that says, backspace. That's all it is. Let's hit the delete button on my keyboard and delete, Pearl. Let's delete Myron Fresh. Let's delete, Tusk. Let whoever, right? And that's really what it boils. And it's about as simple a choice, like Ryan was saying. It's about as simple a choice as just pressing the backspace on a keyboard.
So I suppose the big question that I kind of just wanted to run by you guys, and I think we're probably kind of getting there anyway, is so is there a deliberate sort of what's the word? Consolidated attack on masculinity channels and masculinity content and information, or is it just more driven by commercial desires to make more
we're
money,
just in the way.
Self-advertisers. I mean, what is the truth of this thing?
I think it's a little of everything.
I do have an opinion and a theory on that.
Do you guys think that they're deferring to the morality of like Gen Z, the people that are getting hired now to tech companies? Do you think they're deferring to like 24-year-old morality?
That's part of it.
So like one of the things I notice, especially about younger guys, because I'm neighbors with a couple guys, and whenever I start talking about girls, like, hey, how's your girlfriend? And then sometimes I slip up and say something kind of like misogynistic, but we're boys, right? We're supposed to talk about this stuff, we're guys. And they're like, dude, they always tell me something to the effect of, dude, that's a little toxic, and these guys are like 25, 26. So I'm just wondering, like, there is an element of big tech companies who are really obsessed with the next generation and morality and climate change or saving the world, whatever. Maybe they're deferring to that morality of the younger generation. And then they say, hey, whatever you want to cancel, go ahead. Just, make us look good as a company. And maybe they're deferring to this new morality that's out there. Maybe.
I guarantee you what it is just as we are having a conversation about them, when you go behind these corporate doors, they're having just as many conversations about us. And how many people work at Google? Like 70,000 on. We're talking multiple thousands of people. and it's not a monolithic group. I'm sure there's, well, no doubt there's the fuchsia haired censor brats who are completely ideological driven. There's probably some CPAs and people in the finance department that are like, hey, this shit ain't going to fly. There's some reality here. The numbers are coming in. I think, didn't YouTube just lay off a bunch of people too in their advertising?
Sports Illustrated just laid off their entire fucking.
So the reality, Disney's probably going through the same thing after they've lost $1 billion on their movies. So I'm sure they're having a conversation, and you're not going to get this unified pure. It's like the and so what I think the response is, and what's probably going to come down the pipe. Did you guys know with the Victoria's Secrets how they got rid of Megan, soccer player gal?
Oh, Megan.
And and then they I just looked this up last night. They finally got rid of the disfigured model, at least on the front page. They haven't gotten rid of all the fat minority, black, and whatever. There might be the occasional straight white woman, but I think they're gonna balk. They're gonna half-ass it. So there's going to continue to be an inconsistent message where we're like, why did Tusk get banned? Why did they not get banned? How come when am I getting banned? And just as frequently as they come out with policy changes on their community guidelines, there's going to be no consistent message or action coming out of YouTube corporate. And so in the long term, what I think is going to happen is we're going to adapt like Fresh and Fit did, and it might be for the better too. We're also now you're making an extra 20%. You're going to drive, and I don't care how much Apple, the corporate, or ESG, where the money is, the talent is us, because that is, we are the entertainers, and the talent will just go somewhere else, whether that's Steve Crowder going to Rumble or Henry Cavill doing his own thing. And so we'll land somewhere, but in the end, you got to kind of thank YouTube for making all these people internet popular, and these people will carry their popularity and cachet with them and their audience. So we might have to go wander in the desert another 30, 40 years, and in this case, 5, 10 to rebuild on a different platform. But I think I don't care how ideologically driven an institution is, at the end of the day, you still have to answer to reality, whether you are bringing in more money than what you're putting out there. And so over the long haul, it inevitably is go woke, go broke, but saner heads have to prevail if YouTube would like to continue to be in their black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sports Illustrated fired all of their staff this week. Yeah, everybody got fired. Why
was
that? Maybe it's one of the decisions. I think might have.
We're making money. That's it.
We're making money. We're gonna make money. The company's going under. I see this attack on masculinity is not a new thing. I think it's been happening for a very long time.
Oh yeah.
And I think I made a post about this not long ago. Sorry, Paul, but I think pro wrestling is an attack on masculinity because it takes guys away. It takes guys away.
How dare you,
actual
sir?
Fighting, actual wrestling, actual real masculine things into this fairy tale, emotional, women-based, like steroided fakeness, and it's not masculine at all. It's very feminine.
Words, sir.
And I think the push away from things that are actually masculine, that's been happening for a very long time. The church is very anti-masculine.
How dare you?
And that didn't just happen. That doesn't happen in the last 5 years. That's been happening over my entire lifetime.
Maybe they're just chipping away. Maybe their strategy is to chip away, like not exactly stop the masculine.
I mean, look what's happened to the family structures. Look at how men act and behave now. Like, there's just
so I did a lot of masculinity
for at least 40 years.
Question. Back to Troy's original question on is masculinity under attack? I think it's a bigger issue, and like John said is right. There's a big struggle going on with modes of thinking right now. And we know this. I mean, there is this struggle between authoritarian thinking and libertarian thinking. You could even say men and women fall into that category. It doesn't matter their political slant or even corporation slant. It's not Democrat and Republican. It's authoritarian versus libertarian. And on the authoritarian side, it feels safe. Of course it feels safe. There's rules, there's guidelines. We're going to make you do what we say is right, what our moral code says, what our virtue says. On the libertarian side, it's it feels dangerous because it's free. You could choose for yourself. Mommy and daddy can't choose. And I think that masculinity definitely falls into that category. When I did my research, it falls into that freedom. The most masculine things out there rest right upon the free market and freedom of the individual. And the authoritarian side is completely against it. And I definitely see in the corporations a huge mode of thinking towards authoritarianism. So that's kind of my take. I got a lot more on it, but I'm not going to excuse the time. So definitely it's under attack because it's opposed to that authoritarian mode of thinking.
Yeah, and what about just the general sort of idea that, you know, if you are encouraging strong, masculine men who are able to go out there and make things happen in the world, they are harder to control. And the powers that be, whoever that is, you know, don't want that because it's easier for them if everyone's docile and watching porn and eating their metaphorical or literal Cheetos. Is that
Porn puffs?
Well, it's easy to identify because they're going to say what you say is dangerous, and they've done this to all of you guys. They say, you know, that Rollo Tomasi and those Red Pill guys and Troy Francis, what they say is concerning. Well, now you know.
I wish they would.
Authoritarian communist,
please.
Well, Rollo's on government watch list, isn't he now? So we're public enemy number one. So,
well, you shouldn't be allowed to say what you're saying.
I love all these grifter channels who like when I go, those red pill guys always talk about don't pay for a fucking date. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, you guys are some fucking pussy. Like you are some like say my fuck. You know who will say my name? The Department of Homeland Security will say my name. You motherfuckers won't. So like until you're ready to say that, until you're ready to cop to that.
No, I was gonna say too. There is like a kind of like okay. So Rollo, you remember that guy that you sat across from at your interview with on Dr. Phil, who was claiming that he was the guy.
Imran Ahmed, yeah. Oh boy, he was fun.
Yeah, like didn't he claim that he was the guy to like stop Andrew Tate?
Oh yeah, he got the scalp. Yeah.
Now I'm thinking, let's say you go ahead and cancel Fresh and Fit or Pearl, whatever, and your company is just like you get rewarded for that in your company. Like you were the guy that like put in the paperwork, you got the team together, you did a PowerPoint presentation on why Rollo bad, and you did all that stuff. There is some reward for individuals that go like there's probably some. So what I'm saying is that yeah, it could be like they don't like masculinity, but a lot of times it could be, hey, if I do these things, I get a promotion. So I'm going to push my team.
Oh yeah. Well, see, here's the deal, and I have been holding off from doing this for a very long time because the complexity of this. But I'm going to end up doing probably a very long-winded video about the NGO. The McCain Institute, the DHS stuff that's been going on for a long time. The reason I haven't got to it yet is because every time I'm about to do it, like some other like bombshell hits me, and I'm like, oh, fuck! Now I got to make sure I got everything, dot my I's and cross my T's. Because if you start talking about shit like this, suddenly you're in like the Alex Jones, like you're in this niche now. You've left the red pill niche and now you're in like tinfoil hat niche, right? So you better have your everything, like you better be bulletproof when you do. But more to your point, I was made aware of this when I actually did my background check on Imran Ahmed because I didn't know who he was. He was the only person on that panel that I didn't know, so I had to do my homework on that guy. And he works for, or he's like, I think he's either the CEO or he's one of the higher ups in an organization, an NGO called the Center for Countering Digital Hate, the CCDH or something like that. Right? Like, I don't know, whatever acronym. Then there's Divert Hate, which is out of ASU, which is part of the McCain Institute, which is the one that I was talking about not so long ago that they featured on Alex Jones of all places. And then there's what's the other one? Something Star, I can't remember. There's a lot of these NGO watchdog outfits that have been around since like 9/11 because they were originally created. Those NGOs were originally created to work hand in hand with the Department of Homeland Security right in the Bush years, right, the George W. Bush years, and originally they were there to sort of keep tabs on Islamic terrorism, like sleeper cells or whatever it is, just to make people feel comfortable, like your government is actually doing something. Well, it's kind of hard for them to do that because they just don't have the manpower. So they have non-governmental organizations who became watchdog organizations, and since then up to 2024, those organizations have really kind of changed fundamentally in nature. culture. So they went from watching for Islamic sleeper cells to domestic terrorism to like white supremacist groups during the Obama years. Then from Trump said he was going to get rid of them. He didn't. They just changed forms. And so now they're looking for something else. And now the boogeyman du jour is incels, because they're in some way organized. It's going to be like an Arab Spring, and these young sexless, perma virgins are going to rise. It's like the beta male uprising or some shit like that. I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots, first of all, but they have to have a boogeyman, or those organizations don't get funded, because they rely on taxpayer dollars. And the only way they get funded is if they can prove that they're actually doing something that is in any way significant or noteworthy, right? So you have Imran Ahmed, who goes up there and says, right, and remember, this is right after Tate gets canceled for the first time in August of 2022, when like YouTube kicked him and TikTok banned him, and they basically killed off the entire Andrew Tate empire, tech, from big tech, anyways. And he went on that show with one specific thing to say, is that he took Andrew Tate's scalp. Is what he wants to say, that he was the one who actually was responsible. His organization was responsible for having Andrew Tate be canceled. And I was looking at him and go, you are so full of shit. And I realized at that point why he was there, because he had to prove work. He had to, big government is looking, we better look busy. Like, we better have something, or we're not going to get that. We're not going to get next year's, funding money. We're not going to be able to get our needs met through, through legislation and lobbying or something. And so you got all of these government organizations, NGOs, that have to do the same thing. So you've got Points of Light or some shit like that. You got Divert Hate. You've got CCDH, whatever the fucking thing is. And there's several other ones that I'm not even coming in my head right now. But they have to pretend like they actually did some shit. So it's a PowerPoint presentation. It's like it's a big like PDF, for the FBI. Well, here's what we need to watch for. Guys who say Chad and Stacy and Raul Tomasi and Myron and Fresh and whatever else, whatever boogeyman they can throw out there, because they think that we're like radicalizing the beta male uprising. And they still keep going back to like Alec Manazi in 2018. Then they go back to like, what's his name? Elliot Rodger from 2014. We're talking about 10 fucking years ago. That's the worst thing that you can talk about in this particular group for the last 10 years is Elliot Rodgers. You better come up with something really concrete. So what do? They go to academia. They go to Chris Williamson. They go to Swansea, which is the online study of incels that only studies the incels.co forum. Nowhere else. They just go right to where the biggest bias of incels are going to be. And they come out with study after study after study, and they pay the participants because nobody wants to participate in it. And they're doing multiple studies of the same fucking thing. And meanwhile, you got people who are using the name of David Buss. You got like Will Costello. You got what's the guy's name? Andrew Thomas or something like that. They're all in the same work group, and they do the same studies and using the same fucked up methodology, snowball survey methodology. And then what happens is they pass that off to big names like like Chris Williamson, Tim Pool has used their data, Forbes uses their data, all these other people who use this data. And the reason why they're doing it is because if they don't have somebody big to broadcast, they don't get funded again, because they're looking for some sort of sciencey-ish thing to say that this is the next big threat we better watch out for. And there is no fucking threat. No one's getting radicalized. And even if they were, incels account for, self-identifying incels account for less than a fraction of 1%, less than people who like identify as being, troons, right? Less than that. It's a rounding error, but they're making it sound as if it's like this next huge, like, watch out, there's an incel under every fucking rock. It's like the Red Scare, all of us. It's McCarthyism is essentially what it is. But they're doing it because if there is no boogeyman, no one gets paid. And so now think about this. Now you've got to take all of that data and all this, they're radicalizing it, and they go to YouTube Or they go to Elon and they go, we got to do something about these incels, Elon. Okay, what do you want us to do? Oh, let's redirect Rollo Tomasi's traffic and his links to the Good Man Project or Man Bun Man Enough Project or whatever. Like positive masculine places that are basically just going to tell you to be more feminine and to puss out a little bit more. And those are the positive masculine influences. And so we're going to that's what divert. Hey, they call it divert because they want to divert traffic away from my side or Myron's side or anybody, probably Ryan's side, to the Good Man Project, which were responsible for the Dear Woman video, if anybody remembers that one, or Justin Baldini, the original Man Bun. Those are the guys that they want to divert our traffic to because they think that it's doing something so that next year in 2025, they get more funding as a result.
Yeah, and the problem is that the
tactics.
incel thing gets conflated with everybody else, doesn't it? Because somebody here said, worth noting, there was an incel-related terror attack in the UK, or so they say.
Related.
I think what happened, was there was a lone wolf went on a shooting spree. Well, yes, there was something that happened. I think it was about two.
He said he didn't get any pussy, so therefore he's an incel.
But then,
Lone wolf, I love that. Isn't that just called crime?
but
Lone wolf.
But firstly, I mean, these things really, I mean, thank God. I mean, really, these things are incredibly rare if you look at it statistically against the population. And secondly,
I would challenge anybody who thinks that that's like some sort of like evidence of like this epidemic of incel shooting. Go and look at how many people died in Detroit and Chicago this last weekend.
Yeah. Same thing goes with school shootings. People think that there's school shootings every day here in America. It's like that's not even true.
But secondly, then they're conflating everyone together. So then it's like, okay, well, all of the content creators on here are all incels because that's just it's all lumped together into this one thing, isn't it? And that is, I mean, even from a freedom of speech standpoint, that's hugely problematic because it's preventing people from being able to say what they want to say because you're being labeled as the scapegoat, you're being labeled as the enemy, even when actually your message might be really positive. I mean, most people, all of us on here, really, our message is generally positive. Yeah. I mean, I know Rollo is not prescriptive, but I mean, many of us, we're saying, hey, listen, get out, go to the gym, like fucking improve yourself, like
talk to one woman, talk to a girl, please.
Touch
Yeah.
For a date. Yeah.
Touch grass, touch ass, touch steel.
Touch ass, touch grass, and touch steel. Yeah,
so here, Troy, let me posit this one on you, taking it a step back here when you're talking about the content creators. First off, everybody's got a theory. Like, that old thing about Set during the day and Horus, they would fight, and then as he beat him, he'd turn into daytime and then nighttime. That's kind of what's happening here because we don't have all the information. We don't know what everybody's thinking. We don't know if there's an attack. So we all come up with theories. It helps us understand the things around us. I just accept the fact that our theories are probably wrong, which is fine as long as they get us to make better decisions. And this is the point. Do you remember when Carl was on the cast and he used to say that I think to be an influencer on YouTube, you need to go work 5 years in corporate to do a basic BE or BI, whatever they call it in the military? I think this is why. Because I have never seen a group of content creators so unable to handle basic business acumen. Like, I know you guys like Myron, whatever, but sitting here talking about we're here to make men more masculine and give a positive message, and then they cried when they took off his monetization. I was fucking insulted. It's like, what the best way to be a positive masculine influence on men? It's like acting like one. Yeah. You're crying over money, but you've been telling your whole point is to save men. They didn't stop him from saving men. But I'm not here to shit on him. That's not the point. Basic risk management. This matters for Google. This matters for us. This matters for you at home who's watching this. Here's your actionable information. Their problem with growth right now is there's not enough people on Earth. Google, Facebook, that's the problem. Everybody has a cell phone. Everybody has internet. Everybody's on YouTube. There's not enough people to grow their business anymore. So they have to switch to a risk mitigation strategy. They aren't playing to win. They're playing not to lose right now, which means anything you do that could possibly cause a ruffle, they will shut you down because they have billions. They own the internet and they don't want to get out of the way of that. So as a content creator, you should have known this going in when you hear talking about dicks and White Claws and hoes and whatever, 304s. You should know this going in. So as a threat and risk assessment, you're supposed to think, what's the likelihood I get canceled? What are the mitigating factors? And what do I do around that? And there's tons of ways. I haven't been ever removed or canceled. First off, just follow the TOS. I'm not saying this against Tusk. I don't know what Tusk's model. I'm speaking in generalities here. Follow the TOS. Out of Out of the guys here, how many people have read the terms of service for Twitter and YouTube and Amazon?
Only when it gets updated.
Yeah, I follow that. I'm like, read the fucking manual. You'd be surprised how much that helps and how many people don't notice this stuff. On top of that, don't admit to crime, like basic shit. Like, remember with Tate? The Matrix is coming after him, for admitting all those crimes he did on camera for hundreds of hours.
Wow. Yeah.
I would say, I would say the
spread it
one
out.
caveat to that would be TikTok, Ryan, because their terms of service are completely arbitrary.
Oh yeah, they're Wild West. Granted,
Whatever.
exception
Yeah.
that proves the rule. I'd argue.
Because
Here's the other thing.
I'm on my third account, and it's on an account warning, and I don't even put anything bad out anymore because of the first ban. You know?
But here to finish up, to catch on to this too. Remember how everybody's on here talking about make that money, follow your purpose. You got to have multiple streams of income, and then they get YouTube canceled. And now they're broke. It's like, bro, follow your own fucking advice. Look, I'm on YouTube. I'm on Substack. I'm on Amazon, multiple books, multiple audiobooks. If I lose something here, you're not going to see me on a live stream crying about it.
Yeah.
Because I've already got 8 other ones. It's a setback, but it's not a death sentence.
Yeah, you ever done it?
Yeah,
It was always
redundancies.
received wisdom. It was always received wisdom that you should have your own platform as well, right? Because all of us, we're all building on someone else's land, aren't we? With YouTube and with all of these things, and so it used to be the thing. Well, have your own website, which is fine. And I mean, Tusk has got his own website, so he's got that. He's got his mailing list. He's got other stuff.
Yeah, and he has coaching to fall back. Like he's got coaching.
Yeah.
That's his primary income, is it not? And
Yeah.
that's
So he wasn't reliant on the ad revenue, but the problem is it's reaching scale, isn't it? Because if I go off YouTube and I just set up, well, I've got my own website as well, right? But if I just go right, fuck all this YouTube, fuck Twitter, I'm just going to go and just be on realtroyfrancis.com. Visit, guys. Then I'm going to get some traffic, but it's not going to be of the kind of scale, and I'm not going to be bringing the new people in the way that I can on here, and that is the key problem.
Well, you're doing it. That's what a threat and risk analysis is. That's what you've said. What's the risk of getting banned off of YouTube? My marketing funnel, I won't have nearly enough people. And then what you're supposed to do is conduct mitigating strategies. What can I do to lessen that effect? Well, and for you, it's like Rumble. Maybe it's start being paid ads on Amazon. Maybe it's write a book and push that on Twitter. Like whatever it is. And then you think, how much does it cost to implement this mitigating strategy? And then you're like, well, that costs too much for what I want to do. That doesn't do enough effectiveness. And you find an area where it costs enough that you're willing to accept that risk, and it has enough of an effect that you're like, okay, I can sign off on this. And then you get your, and I know this is going to be really technical, and I'm very sorry, guys, for numbers, but like your cost per point of risk. And then any other risks you have going forward in the future, that's the risk tolerance you have. So let's say tomorrow you're worried about your Amazon sales. Well, I pay $10 per point of risk, so I can make these steps here because it's totally within my costs. But and the point isn't so much that it's not right that what is happening to him or anybody. The point is that nobody's taking the basic bare bones entrepreneurship that it takes to manage these things. Now, I don't have Tusk's answer. I have my answer, and it works out great, and that's why I don't cry about it.
We got to do all of that. I just wanted to hang out and talk to my friends.
Yeah, in which case you're not risking anything, right? It's like, who cares?
I just wanted to hang out and talk some shit with my buddies.
My question let me also add a very important thing. Like
people don't call me toxic.
Like Thor, I think nobody really planned on getting here. Like we're all just as shocked we're here as anyone else.
Yeah.
The generation after us is like, oh, I want to be a professional influencer. Lord help us if there's actual college degrees you could get, degrees in the future about becoming an influencer. But like anything else, we make fun of my church folding chair that I didn't spend any money on and got over at Savers. Dude, save your money because this shit could end at any moment in time. And that's where you see these people, what was it? Back in the early days, some guy started making it big on YouTube. And instead of paying cash for a house, he bought 3 houses, leveraging up with mortgages. And then I think the adpocalypse came and he lost all of his money. God, this is not save your money. Don't piss it away. There should always be ancillary to some other gig you got going on. And that's it. I'm surprised we've lasted this long, given the political climate of IT.
Perfect example. Mitigating strategy. He makes his costs lean. They can cancel Clary, and he's not out much. He can buy a new chair with the money he saves on cans.
Mhm.
That maybe is not your strategy, but it's a strategy. But it's a strategy. But at
More
the
like
point,
Jason Momoa and live in a van.
see, like John, you know business.
I have a
Rolo, you know
confession.
business. Kappa, you know business. You guys have these sort of contingencies, and they're all different, and they all work for us. I'm just
started-
amazed at how many people will bitch and moan about YouTube and then not take the barest effort. It's like the guys bitching about girls don't touch me. Well, what's your workout looking like? What's a workout?
Yeah.
Fuck
How
you.
many girls have you talked to this week?
Fuck
Yeah,
you.
what's
I
a
hate
girl?
Talked to girls.
I hate that shit so much.
I started my YouTube channel like with Pat Campbell back in 2018, right? And so it was just something that we did on. That's why I still do my show on Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. But then of course Pat passed away. But I never really put all that much energy into being a quote unquote YouTuber until. And Ryan, you probably remember this. I used to have all of my books on Create Space, right?
Oh yeah.
Create Space got bought out by Amazon or by KDP, like Kindle Direct Publishing, and so all of my Create Space books went over to KDP because that was just how they worked it, and which wasn't that big a deal. But the problem is back then they would pair things up with Kindle, print, and Audible, which they still kind of do, but Audible is a little kind of its own animal now. But the thing is Audible used to have bounties. Do you remember this? Like, so if somebody signed up for an Audible account, just randomly, like, and they go, I want Roll Tomasi's book. I'm going to sign up for it because you get the first book for free, right? So you sign up for the subscription, you get my book for free, and you get to enjoy that. And now you got a subscription, and they give you a credit every month. I don't know what the fee is these days, but if that happened, if they signed up through your book, and that was the one that was credited to it, you got a good chunk of change out of that, like $50-$75 every time that happened, right? Well, gradually they pull it back till right now. It's like you're essentially advertising or trying to compete with Audible for your own content right now to get that same thing. Because now the only way you can get that bounty, they still have the bounty program, but the only way you can get that is if somebody uses your affiliate link. So technically you're affiliate marketing for your own fucking book. And so and you're competing against the like huge, Audible. So it was like they gave you this perk for a longest time, and then they just basically dragged it away. I make maybe one or two like bounties back in the day. I was making like 10 grand a month in just bounties.
Good times.
It was good fucking times. So you know what I did when they pulled that away and I lost that income? I'm like, fuck, maybe I should just ratchet up my YouTube. And that's what I did to cover, because it's like lifestyle creep. You're used to making that extra 10 grand a month and you go, fuck, what am I going to do? Now I'm like, now I want to keep making that money. So that's why I ratcheted up my YouTube. So what I think happens, and Cappy, maybe you can relate with this, is you'll do, like, you have your main gig, maybe it's your day job or some shit, and then your side hustle is your book, your side hustle is something else. That side hustle starts to make more money than your main, and now your side hustle becomes your main. And then so that main is like dependent on other factors or something. And so you've got that main, and now you got a side hustle for that side hustle that's now your main. And now that side hustle becomes your main, and your main starts to fall off, or you're making more money on the side hustle, and that side hustle becomes main. So you're jumping from side hustle to side hustle to side hustle, because those side hustles become your main after a while. At least that's the way it's worked for me.
You explained the past 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you don't have, like, you're not in one particular, like, bit, like, oh, Roll Tomasi's a YouTuber. Fuck you, man. I'm a fucking author before I'm a YouTuber. But people see me and the personality, and they have because this is the front of the Rational Male, as opposed to just having, 5 books that people don't even know I have 5 fucking books. They think I only have 1 book because they only see this right here. And that's whatever is most immediate, and what's TikTok generation shit.
Is it now essential though? Would you agree? I mean, Rollo, I'm not sure how frequently you update the blog now, but I don't think it seems like it's not.
I do mostly Substack now. You know why? Because they get paid for Substack, and I don't get paid.
Right.
For
Yeah. But I mean, would everyone agree that really it has to be video now? Really? I mean, or do you think you could you build a massive brand just on writing?
It's something that it's at least ancillary. It's something that has to be sort of part of it, but doesn't have to be your main.
Okay.
Yeah, my Substack makes twice as much as my YouTube makes.
Yeah.
Easily.
Substack is fucking.
Yeah, I've noticed, like, posting on Twitter, like, people don't really respond to videos as much as they do with written stuff.
Right,
But that's the whole point of this, right? It's like, as a guy, you have to expect
blog,
that nobody's going to handhold you. They're going to go, if they have a chance to fuck you over to get theirs, they're going to do it. So now that you know that that's the game, how do you play it, right?
It's kind of funny, really, because when I just from my own personal side, when I got into all this whole thing, I mean, I was a blogger, and I wasn't really like, because I love to write. You know, that was a big thing that I wanted to do. I love to write. I also love to smash random girls, and so then when I put those two things together, it kind of worked out quite well. And I got onto Rouge when Rouge had Return of Kings, and I started writing for that, and Donovan Sharp was there, and all the rest of it, and then it kind of went from there. But I'd never intended to be somebody who made videos or went onto onto a platform like this.
Yeah.
It just kind of fucking happened. And in a way, it's sort of a necessary evil. I mean, I'm quite glad that I've done it now, because I think it's a skill that increasingly we all need.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to say I don't enjoy it. I definitely enjoy it, but it's like there was never my main. Ryan, are you on all subscription now, or do you do free stuff on Substack?
I do both. The way I set it up is I provide a case study and the quick summary, and that part's free. And then I extend a huge amount of it of extra for other people, like a Slate Star Code exercise thing. Mm-hmm. But I always try to make sure, like, I offer enough for the free people that they never feel cheated or like it's just being sold to. Mm-hmm. And then for the people that pay, I try to give them just as much. Unfortunately, the only way I know how to do that is by working a lot harder. So it's not the model for everybody. Most people just want to cash.
I would like to point out two unique people here in terms of how they've approached this. One, Nuke is probably the model for younger generations going forward, where the guy has a real job. No, I mean, no, I don't like you. I'm just explaining you.
Damn. That's the most trustworthy thing I've ever heard from someone.
We're all Cappies, not friends.
Anyway, but seriously, Nuke has a real job. He went in the Navy, and then as a side, he did this. And so I think that's, and it also brings some authenticity, because he's not just like, OMG, like, woman, am I right? And men are so crazy. Like, no, he served in the Navy and knows how to run a nuclear fucking reactor. And then where I'm kind of impressed with Paul, one of the few things I am impressed with Paul about is
the hiking.
Well, if you call that hiking, sure. I don't know. Mailed in effort was hiking. But Paul kind of shows, like, Paul, how much I'm fascinated. You're probably the foremost expert who is mastering the algorithms and on social media and posting and because every time we've hung out, you are on that all the time, which is not a criticism. It's like that, but it does take a fair amount of effort, because you guys are talking about Substacks and all things and all these new social media platforms where I just don't have the fucking time for it. But it is something that you have to diversify it's not revenue, but it ultimately ends in revenue. You have to diversify where you're getting your audience, and Paul is an example that where you have to be on all these different platforms, constantly sending it out there.
Yeah, because because I did get canceled from TikTok, and I built up a following of like 30,000, which isn't a lot on TikTok, but to me it was a lot. I got completely banned a couple of years ago, and I was like, man, I can't just be on this one platform. So I created accounts on all the big social medias, because I was like, I got to diversify. I've got to create an email list.
Yeah, you do need to absolutely do all of this. By the way, gents, I've just so I think John Fitch has had to leave. He said it's a great stream. He's had to go. Rollo seems to have dropped out. I don't know whether he's going to come back or not, but I am going to
Matrix got him.
I am going to introduce to the stream now a gentleman called Mr. Les Thomas, who is James's business partner. Now, Les, and I just wanted to bring Les on for a couple of minutes, just to have a chat about what actually happened with their cancellation. They were running the channel jointly. Obviously, Tusk is the main, kind of running around in a suit, like doing lots of crazy shit. Les is on a lot of the videos as well, but Les has worked a lot on the back end. So welcome to the show, Les. How are you doing, man?
What's up, gents? Thanks for having me. Thanks for the invite, Troy.
Yeah, no worries, man. So just out of interest for all of us, I mean, have you got any further comment on kind of what happened, or were you given any warning about this, or any further insights into why this occurred?
No warning whatsoever. Just James just got an email one day. He's like, mate, look at the channel. It's not there anymore. And he sent me a photo just saying, it's been terminated. We got an email basically just saying that your channel's been terminated. It's violating the terms and conditions of the YouTube
And that was it. They weren't any more specific than that.
No, they weren't specific at all. We had a chance to appeal it, but I mean, I think it's as good as gone, if I'm speaking honestly.
Have you appealed it yet, or is that sort of still going through?
Yeah, of course, we tried to appeal it. I mean, it's not good losing a channel of nearly 40K on YouTube. It took years and years to build that up. So we did appeal it on the day, but like I said, I don't think it's going to come back.
I think
so
the problem
have to start from scratch again.
I mean, my experience with YouTube, in the few dealings I've had with them, is that they're quite hard to get hold of. They don't necessarily answer queries, and I think once they've done something, then it's kind of done. Really, you know what I mean? Like, I don't get the sense that they're like, "Oh, okay, guys, all right, we'll overlook it this time." I think it's just like, right, and that's it.
For sure. We got recommended that we try and get in contact with someone if we have any contact with, someone that works at Google or something like that. I mean, but the chances of that happening are so low. So
yes.
I think it's pretty much good as gone, if I'm speaking honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, what's your take on this? Because we're working on this program, The Edge, which is out at the moment. I've been putting the links into the chat, but I mean, that's a program that's very much about masculinity. I mean, yeah, it's about dating, it's about getting girls, but it's also about becoming a 21st century man and optimizing in all these areas. I mean, we were talking earlier about the fact there is a bit of a war on masculinity. I mean, do you think ultimately that's true, and this is just a symptom of that?
It's an interesting question, Troy, because the thing is, before the channel, like a year or so ago, the channel was growing at about 400 to 600 subscribers per month, which is not huge, but it was fairly constant. That's fairly normal for a channel of about 35 to 40K.
Yeah.
And then in the last few months, all of a sudden our channel growth just went through the floor, right? And we were still pumping out the exact same type of content. We were still doing all the same stuff. So it was a bit weird. We thought we'd been, shadow banned. We were releasing videos. They weren't getting a lot of views. So we sort of thought that something like this may have happened. May
right.
happen.
Okay.
So yeah, it was all a bit weird, So not much more to say than that, really.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah. And I mean, I don't know whether you and Tusk, I mean, obviously we're working on this thing we're doing together, but any plans yet, or are you just going to kind of sort of let things, let the dust settle and then sort of figure out going forward?
No, we'll start a new one, mate. We'll definitely start a new channel. Be like the Phoenix Rising. we'll
the Phoenix Rising.
And
what about, I know we've talked about this offline, but we were all discussing like Rumble and these different platforms. Is that something that you guys would sort of consider now as well? As even just as a backup?
I think so. Well, luckily enough, one of the guys that had worked for us before, a video editor and a filmer, he was like, "May, I saw this coming. You guys were probably going to get cancelled sooner or later with your antics." So he downloaded all of the videos. So we've got 900 videos backed up, which is quite cool.
Nice. That's quite
which is fucking cool, because we thought like that's the biggest thing, right? When you film like all of the content, it's hundreds and if not thousands of hours of effort and thousands of dollars that are put into making all of this content, and then at the click of a button it's all fucking gone, right? So at least you want to have some of that in the backlog,
Yeah,
like
it's kind of mad, isn't it? Because like you say, I mean, you guys have spent a lot of money because obviously there's all the filming, traveling to locations, there's the editing, there's all of this shit that goes into it. People don't really think about, but there's quite a big investment from you just to put out the free fucking content. Now, obviously, you've made money, decent money back in terms of the coaching and everything, but just to have all of that erased immediately, it's just a fucking kick in the teeth, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fucking awful. Well, I mean, you spend the last 4 years, like that's your life, YouTube, traveling, filming, dating and putting everything that you own on the line for that channel.
I have to interject here very quickly, just for now, but going forward, it is important to have a backup. And for any guy in our field, I cannot recommend enough because this is precisely his field of expertise. But Amir over at MGTOW TV, one of the kindest men ever, and he has all my videos backed up on his channel.
Really?
Out of the kindness, yeah. And this goes more so to the larger issue of censorship, where I have 5 of my 10 books are merely backups of all my blog posts, because there's always the chance that somebody's going to get a grain of sand in their vagina over at YouTube or Google in this case and say we don't like his. And so you need to have backup. So if this is part of your career, your profession, or just a hobby you're passionate about, you need to back this stuff up, because this stuff does happen.
For sure. One of the problems, though, is when they terminate a channel, I don't think that they actually delete it from YouTube. I think the algorithm still picks up that that content has been online. So even if you do release it onto YouTube, the algorithm won't push it as much as it was pushed before. Not fresh. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's the one downside.
I mean, some people were saying, because obviously, like, you know, we work in this space, and I mean, part of what you guys in particular have done a lot is done a load of videos with yourself and James going up and talking to girls and filming that and then putting it out. Now, there have been some people who've said to me, "Oh, well, no wonder, because, you know, you're doing that." Now, my response to that is, well, it's totally legal because you're filming in public. Right, you know, often you will blur out the you know, hide the identity of the women, of course, most of the time anyway. And obviously, if any woman did complain, you just take the video down anyway. So I don't think it's actually that. I don't think it is the infields. But do you have a perspective on that?
No, I think Cappy alluded to it. It's just it takes one person to fuck this all up, right? Because these are all private companies. So if one person doesn't like it, then I mean, you can't really do much, right? They're private companies. You've got no. It's their policies. They're not general legal policies. So it's a bit, it is a bit of a thing, because you're putting all of your eggs into one basket if you only rely on YouTube. But you know, we've learned our lesson very well. So we're not going to be making that mistake.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, thanks ever so much for coming on anyway, man. And you know,
I am taking lots of notes right now, because I'm like the newest guy in this panel, and I have several. I make more money on Patreon than my measly YouTube channel, and I realized that, like, I think for me, what does me better as a human being and as a person that wants to help other guys is writing. And even though my writing's not that good, I think writing is, like, even though it's not as profitable, but I think on a long enough timeline, writing and putting your hands on a keyboard and just typing away for maybe an hour on what an experience, how it served you or something, although it's not as profitable, I think it would be more valuable to other men or other people you're trying to help. Because a video, like I said, like, you can have 1,000 videos and you can lose it all in a day, but no one's going to take your writing away from you as long as you save it on something. So I think the YouTube stuff, it's like, I like doing it because it's fun and it's a creative outlet for me, and I get a lot of engagement from some good quality people. But at the end of the day, I think the ultimate final step of red pill content should be writing, because it's the safest and the most effective for guys that actually care and want to improve their lives. But, you know, YouTube's fun. I think YouTube is a fun way, and
wait, hang on. Nuke, I have a serious question. You have a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Wait, did it get deleted? Oh shit.
Well, no, fair point, Nuke. I take that on board, and, you know, as somebody, you know, like I said, I mean, I love to write and stuff. I think the one thing is, though, when you're actually, the reason why dating and pickup stuff became so big on YouTube in the first place is because you kind of need to show it. Do you know what I mean? Or at least not even to appease the haters. It's not even because people are like, oh, well, you know,
marketing. Yeah, marketing.
You know, but it's like if you see a video, like I just put up a video on my channel, so this channel will probably get deleted tonight as well. But I've just put up a video of James Tusk approaching a girl in Poland and having a conversation with her and getting her phone number, and him then breaking it down. And it's like, well, it's not just him showboating to look cool. It's like, look, this is what is possible. You can actually do this, and that's the reason, you know. And I think it's aspirational for guys, because they're like, oh fuck, you can actually go and talk to a woman in real life, and she might be friendly and she might go on a date with you, which is fucking mind blowing for a lot of guys. But it's also educational as well, because it shows you the way in which to do it. And then when James is breaking it down, obviously that explains it. So I do think that for this specifically, that skill set, there is a place for video. You know?
Yeah, it's just so much fun to do YouTube. Like it's like you got a creative outlet. You get to, it's, you know, engagement media. You see people, you get to make not, I wouldn't say friends, but you get to meet really cool people in your chat, and it's fun. It's like it kind of pulls you in more, and it makes you feel like you're actually, you know, in it. But
yes,
I mean,
yes,
I just feel like something, as you know, YouTube is fickle, as we know, and then like for me, I've always wondered, is it the language we use? You know, because right now, my prediction for 2024 was that they're going to start pathologizing language and pathologizing like the way we speak. And they, as soon as you slap on the hate speech label on something, it's really hard to unslap that label off. So maybe
100%
it's
true.
Yeah,
What's coming next is something called social accountability. Listen for it. This is what the corporations are saying now. It goes hand in hand with psychological safety. What the fuck is that? Well, you know, they could terminate you for being psychologically unsafe.
Well,
The next step is your social accountability.
James is definitely psychologically unsafe, so I think that's that's one factor.
You have been terminated.
I'm only joking. So somebody says here, shouldn't you actually have success in dating before giving dating advice? Well, yeah, you should, but we all did. I mean, that's the thing. We didn't just think, oh, fuck it, let's go on YouTube and talk about this shit. I mean, it was
I'm on a Facebook page now.
Sorry,
I'm on several Facebook pages in Dallas because girls want to know about me. And
what is
there's your receipts.
What is success in dating there?
But I mean, Les, even for yourself. I mean, so Tusk basically, his story, from what I understand, was he was going around in London. He was learning this stuff. He was working with he was trained with Tom Serrero and John Matrix and people like that, and he got very good at it. And then he thought, well, look, this is something I can pass on, and this is something I can teach. And I imagine the same was true for you as well, because you were hanging out with him before you were on the channel, weren't you? And you were kind of going out and approaching and stuff. So it's definitely a learned thing. You can't just go on and teach something you don't know.
Tell that to
100%.
Troy, do you think it was an ex-girlfriend or a bitter girl that did something to get him removed? Do you think there was some kind of behind the scenes in his personal life?
Les, what do you think?
Nah, I don't think so, mate. I think because the thing is, we've had lots of issues before when girls have voiced their opinions, and we normally just take videos down or anything like that. So I don't think it was something to do with an angry ex. We've had quite a few of those before, and we haven't had issues. So
okay.
I think
I'm just taking notes. I'm just taking notes right now.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because you guys and actually, when you're talking about your growth, just from my side, obviously not seeing your figures, but just looking at the channel, it did seem to me like you were growing quite fast. Like last year, I was looking at it, and it was like, fuck, they're going to be at 40,000 soon. This is actually going up. This is good stuff. And then it is a bit odd, isn't it, that it just suddenly started because the quality of the quality of the content has always been good, but I think particularly now because you were really focusing on this approach stuff and then breaking it down, and the editing looks really good, and it's you've got text on the screen and everything. I mean, really that growth trajectory should have just continued because without blowing smoke up your asses, I mean, you were really I can't even think of anybody else really who's doing the content in that kind of detail.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we were putting a lot of effort into it. We had 2 or 3 full-time editors on the channel, and we were releasing like 2 or 3 infields a week. And I don't know any other dating channels that were doing that. So it shouldn't have stopped, right? It shouldn't have stopped. So it was all a bit weird. But yeah, I agree. We should have had more, streams of putting content out. It's just a shame James and myself are illiterate. The only thing we can do is film on cameras and phones. So we'll take note of that moving forward.
Yeah, well, he's on X, isn't he? And I mean, he's actually up to about 1,000 followers on X now, which is pretty decent. And I think my experience with X, formerly Twitter, is I think that they've turned the taps on. I think, and actually, Paul, I think you were saying this as well. I think they've turned the taps on now that Elon's taken over, because I've noticed my growth has started to accelerate on there. Finally,
yeah, I've noticed it, but also I know some of you guys don't like him, but I had Sergio on from Purple Pill Podcast, and after we recorded, we were talking about strategy on social media, and he was like, "Yeah, if you just spend a lot of time commenting on people's stuff, the algorithm sees that you're interacting with other people, and it starts giving you more followers and stuff." So I started doing that starting in November, and I've actually managed to start seeing growth again.
Well, on X, you commenting
on X, yeah.
How does the algorithm give you followers, though?
It's interesting because basically I create a private list. I call it my engagement list, and it's got big name people. And then I periodically, just once a day, go in there and try to make like 10 comments. Just under people's things, and they have a bigger following, so it puts you in front of their people.
I see what you mean. Yeah, so it's not the algorithm's not giving you anything. You're just reply guying a big account, and then somebody else sees you and ultimately has to click subscribe.
Which is a good strategy. A lot of people use that strategy. It can be a bit fucking annoying though, because I'm sure all of you guys on here. I mean, Ryan, you must get this. You know, you get that random reply guy who just replies to everything.
Well, the Sergio guy is one of the ones. I just blocked his ass. I'm like, fuck this guy. Yeah, most of them I just block now. I don't even care.
I don't know why. He actually quite likes me. I think he's always been all right with me.
The best people for engagement are trad femmes. They will get you so many followers. Oh my god, I've gotten most of my followers is from their following, and they're the people. It's just a hate follow. It's so great.
Yeah.
But Sergio likes to pick fights with people. So like he went to try to pick a fight with me, and I just didn't play his game, and he's like, "Oh, okay, Paul seems all right," and just left me alone after that.
Did you tell him to stop for me? Because he's been in my mentions for like 2 weeks.
Well, that's his way of trying to build growth too. Try to pick fights, like he actually doesn't mean anything by it.
Okay. But it's like the same way that a teenager whose dad's not paying attention to her gets his attention by misbehaving.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly his.
Anyway, guys, thanks very much for Les for coming on, man. Unless you got any final words. I mean, obviously our program, The Edge 3, is open now. Enrollments are still open. We are closing it at the end of Sunday, though. It's a program that teaches you everything you need to know about how to become an elite level man. So we cover hormone optimization, which is really fucking important, as Thor will attest to. We cover dangerous man formula, which is basically the dark triad stuff. We cover social freedom, and we cover basically all other aspects of how to put yourself together in a way that women are going to find attractive, because in 2024 it's not just about coming out with a few fucking lines anymore. You can't run with that anymore. You've got to be the whole fucking package, or at least you've got to be working towards the whole fucking package. Oh, the other thing, of course, is sexual shame. Are you confident to be sexual when you're with a woman in a woman's presence, or are you kind of hiding behind your like being very repressed and kind of nerdy around it? You've got to be somebody who emanates sexuality. Otherwise, a lot of these chicks are just going to blow you out. So we're teaching all of that. It's a 10-week course. It's a bunch of pre-recorded videos. Plus, we're going to be doing webinars twice a week over the 10 weeks. And there's also a boot camp that the guys can come to in Bogota, Colombia as well. So that's the main project that we are still working on, even though the Matrix tried to shut you guys down. And it closed on Sunday. So I've been spamming out the link. So guys, if you want to enroll, go to that link, have a look at the sales page, etc. But anyway, sorry, Les, did you have any final thoughts on that?
No. Thanks for bringing me on, Troy. I think, just the global dating marketplace has become a lot more competitive now, just because it's international, right? So you're not competing with the guy who lives on your street. You're competing with
me. I'm sorry, all the men in the world. You're competing with me now, and I'm just going to swoop in and take your almonds. I'm terribly sorry.
100%. So I think it's just vitally important that if you want to have a good dating life, it's not just about learning the lines; it's about doing all the back end stuff as well.
Because I've worked with Les. I mean, the last time we were together was in Mexico City, wasn't it? That was sort of back end of last year. And I mean, you know what it's like. I mean, we teach day games. So we're going out with guys. We're saying, right, there's a pretty girl. Go and approach her, have a conversation, see how it goes. Great. And, a lot of the guys that have approach anxiety, so we have to get them through that. But then the bigger issue is often when they go over and talk, what are they saying and how are they coming across? And a lot of guys will go over and they'll do the approach, which is thumbs up, it's great. But if you're coming across like her best friend or her gay best friend or a brother and you're being super like kind of inhibited, that's not going to fucking set her world on fire. Not today when she's got a million different options on her smartphone, of Chad over on the yacht in Miami or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. It's super interesting, right? Because it's oftentimes when we coach guys, we'll take them out for a few days, and technically they've got no experience with cold approaching girls, going up to girls, or like learning lines, but they've got their shit figured out. Like they're in decent shape, they dress well, they're high value guys. They've worked well, they've worked hard in business, they're doing well in life, and their hit rate just goes through the fucking roof, right? Because as soon as they go up to a girl just knows, she's like, this guy's he's got his shit together, right?
Yeah.
So what we found is that coaching all of this back end stuff has a much higher return down the line when it comes to dating, right? Because I think a lot of the old school dating advice focused a lot on, like the outer game, if you want to call it that, without really emphasizing all the inner game and focusing on that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because guys often in this space will think, "Oh, I've just got to tick these boxes." So, right, I've got a good job. I go to the gym.
The entitlement. Yeah.
Yeah, and listen, if you do have your shit together in those areas, then fucking great, because you're still ahead of like 98% of the male population. But unfortunately, it's still not enough, because if you don't have, if you're a little bit boring, you're a little bit dull, you're a little bit too logical, too linear, and you're not emanating some sort of sexuality, there's no fire in your eyes, you're still going to get kicked to the curb, or at least you're not going to get the kind of results that you could be getting.
Yeah, 100%. Well, yeah, one thing I found is that the main thing that's holding guys back, from my experience from coaching guys, is just their inability to be sexual. Like,
yes.
Covering their metaphorical dick. They're hiding it. They don't want to actually let the girl know that they want to fuck her, right? And the girl can just sense that as well, right? She smells pussy.
Yeah.
She knows when the guy's getting laid,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, Paul, sorry, Karen.
No, yeah, just saying the hungry don't get fed, especially when it comes to dating. So yeah, it's just about working on all that back end stuff. And what's crazy as well, a lot of this is conveyed through energy, right? Which no one really talks about, that you can't actually teach. It can only be you can only convey that energy that you want to convey by living the life that essentially convey that energy, right? So that's why the stuff is so important to fucking learn, right? Because if you're not living that life, the girl can just pick up on it, right? Girls are 100 times better at reading body language, picking up on social cues than men. Men are like fucking cavemen when it comes to that stuff, right? So yeah, super key.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff, man. Well, listen, thanks ever so much for coming on, and I'll chat to you later, bro.
Gents, absolute pleasure to meet all of you. Hopefully, chat to you guys again sometime.
And good luck with the new channel as and when you develop it.
Yeah, the Phoenix Rising once again.
Indeed. All right, see you later, man. Bye.
Cheers.
Well, there you go. So from the horse's mouth. So they obviously, I mean, they didn't really have any fucking prior warning or anything else. But I think, Cappy, your point was well made. I mean, really, they had it's lucky that they've got those videos still backed up. But I mean, really, just backing your stuff up is so important, isn't it, in this space?
Well, we're gonna die. I mean, you're gonna have to leave it in different media formats for other people to find, and that's the ultimate fuck you to these people, because in the end, it is people who are against the freedom of speech, and they do not want you to be able to say what you want to say. And so making it that it's going to be said eternally is kind of the outside of money and costing you advertising revenue. That's ultimately what you're doing.
What do you think about, Cappy? What do you think about Nuke's contention that actually writing is the ultimate form of this? Because obviously you're an author, you've written many books, and I mean, would you agree that ultimately maybe writing is the kind of it has more weight and more gravitas to it? And it's probably harder.
I hate writing. I never wanted to be here. I don't
think
like
every
reading.
writer hates writing.
Yeah, no. I think I'm indifferent about the medium in which it is, but you do need it in the written word. But is that the truest art form? I really am not an author or a literature guy. I'm more like get the ideas out, report. That's why my books are a little bit more clinical and mathematic. But I'm not as deep a philosopher on that. But I'd be more of the practical angle of like, you got to get it out. One thing I will say in agreement with Nuke is that writing allows you to very clearly convey exactly what you want. When we're talking, your brain's got to process ideas, spit out what you think is accurately, which is why a lot of times you are maybe misspeaking or not saying exactly 100%. But if you look at my latest book, not that my other books aren't like that, because I was trying to convey very complex concepts, I had to spend hours cumulatively choosing the exact right words to convey it. So I do agree that things probably, if it's important, it should be written down so it forces you to clearly convey the idea in your mind so that people exactly understand what that idea is.
I think it really helps you to clarify your thoughts as well, doesn't it? Because I wrote a letter to somebody recently, and I was going back through thinking about various things that had happened, and the very act of just having to sit down. I mean, I could have just left her a long ass voice note or something, but the very fact of sort of sitting down and just doing that process, it does allow you to get closer to.
Right. Like if I want to talk about how Ryan is a moron, I could swing it. But if I had hours to write an essay on why Ryan is a moron, I I could
You
do
could
some
really
good work.
crystallize it.
Really paint that picture, man.
It wants to be a book of yours I read, so I'm all for it.
So, well, look, it's been a great show. I mean, look, we've been on for over an hour and a half. I mean, I don't know whether really, and has anyone got any sort of, maybe we go around and we do final thoughts on this whole thing, unless anybody's got anything that they really want a burning desire to say something now.
Not really. Let's plug our shit so we can get on with our weekend.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, good idea. Good idea. All right, well, let's go around. So Ryan, what is the deal?
Well, just a quick closing thought on this. You know what? There's a reason guy like Rolo watches fishing channels on YouTube. There's a reason why I watch a guy running a sawmill. I think for a lot of this, mental point of origin actually does make sense. Yeah, there's me talking about relationship, sexual strategy. There's Troy talking about this. But it's more than that. There's like an underlying story, and people love stories. Seeing that I actually give a shit about this stuff, or seeing that Troy gives a shit about this stuff, even if you're not interested in pickup, you can kind of feed off of that passion, because nobody has passion anymore about anything. Even the silly things, even just talking to girls. Like, how can you have passion about that? Well, I don't have passion about that. I think for a lot of content creators, especially guys like us or the guys you're watching, like, does it look like they actually give a shit, or are they just like repeating lines? Matt Walsh, well, this is what's on the teleprompter. That's what I'm passionate about today. And I know everybody rags on authenticity, but there's something to it. And from the content side, when you're really interested, like obsessively interested in your stuff, it tends to come out in the details you do, like the threat and risk analysis stuff I was taking. The reason I do that is because I give a shit about the stuff here, and I don't want it to go away. I think ultimately, yeah, I guess when you're talking about the vibe, the passion, you just kind of approach it with everything. And from our side, just make sure you do it. Like, I bitch about how much I hate my book right now. Dread audiobook is going to be out next week. The other books are out already, kicking ass. Go get yourselves a copy. They're on Amazon. I hate it, but that's only because I'm tired of looking at the fucking thing. It's not because I hate it as a book. After reading it 12 times to get all the errors out and having to do it another 3 times, yeah, I just want to fucking kick it.
It's a good book. It's a good book.
You become almost blind to it after a while, though, don't you? You're rereading your shit for like the 100th time, and you're just like, oh man, is this even like? Sometimes I lose the ability. Is this actually?
Yeah, like you don't read the words. You see the words there, but they don't make sentences for you anymore. It's weird.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
Exactly. Yeah. Good stuff.
That's it for
me.
me.
Good stuff, man. Okay, many thanks. So now, Mr. Thor, what is the deal?
Hey, the deal is they are going to delete all of our channels. I mean, now that we're on the Homeland Security, it's real easy for policy within a corporation to say, hey, they're violating a federal guideline. Boom, you're out. So just expect it, plan accordingly. And hey, you know, I really liked what Les had to say about energy, vibe, and all that stuff.
Yes,
and that's what my book is really about, a dominant masculine presence. I can't post in the chat, but there is a free audio chapter available if you want to come over to becomedurable.com. Really, that's it. We'll be on air in about 20 minutes talking about a good girl game on the Dragon ship. Jump over there if you can. See you there, guys.
Good stuff, bro. Good stuff. Many thanks. And Nuke.
My final thoughts, basically, it's not your platform. It's just your turn, right? You got to understand that women will, like, the gynosexual social order will cancel something just because it feels icky, you know, not even a good reason. So like Ryan said, go with kind of that mentality. If you're a consumer of this stuff, look around at your life. If you have a wife, kids, or something to lose, don't go posting dumb stuff. Like, social media is a tool. You could either use it for your own gain or use it to waste time or destroy your life, as we've seen multiple times with people in this space, that are in jail right now, right? So social media can make you lots of money, or it can make you miserable and ruin your life. So just be careful. And as the only guy who's not written a book on this panel yet, I would say writing is like, not that it's the coolest, sexiest, fun way to make content, but at the end of the day, 10 years ago when I read The Rational Male, I didn't really need a YouTube channel to save my life. I needed a book, some kind of path forward. You know? So I do enjoy watching everyone's content here. On the drive to work, I listen to Paul's stuff. I like seeing Troy's approaches on his content. Ryan's stuff I watch while I play video games sometime. Thor, we make content together too. So I enjoy the video stuff, but in reality, what like really got me from being on the edge to being able to share my stories with other men and help them was a book. So that's why I say the writing really is it's unsexy, but I know if I ever want to leave a legacy to help a fellow man, it would be a book. But YouTube is very fun. It's very engaging. And I think we should enjoy it because at the end of the day, it's not our platform. It's just our turn. So thank you.
Absolutely. Good stuff, man. Many thanks for joining today. Paul, Mr. Come On Man, how's it going? What is
It's going good. So, like I mentioned earlier, if you guys want to get into the space, you want to be content creators, you have to diversify. You got to be on all the different platforms. And I had to learn that the hard way myself, when I got banned from TikTok. Also, we will get canceled at some point. So if you guys like a particular content creator, get on their email list, because you will never know if they disappear one day. You just won't. Like, all of a sudden you might notice it maybe a month or two down the road. Like, I haven't seen anything from that guy. What happened? Like, and you won't even know. Right. So get on the email list. That way your favorite content creators can at least tell you, hey, I got canceled. Follow me over here now, whatever. So I highly recommend that. Guys, get the book. It's available on all formats, including Audible. I'll drop a link to that in the chat. Like I said, get on the email lists. Here's my email list. I'll drop that there too. And then on Monday, another guy in the space that is ruffling feathers and certain people don't like is going to be on the podcast. I have Garrett Gaines on that. He's an interesting young buck. I noticed he was pissing a lot of people off, and I was like, well, let me talk to this kid. Let me see what he's all about. So he's actually a pretty down to earth kid. It was a fun conversation. So tune into that on Monday.
Very nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. Cheers, bro. And Cappy, what are the final words?
Final words of wisdom is to sit in free folding church chairs with no padding, so that when you are 50 years old, you appreciate when you have some padding there. I'm inclined to agree with Thor. At some point in time, all of our stuff will be deleted, canceled, censored, whatever. So you should get this. I'm not as pessimistic, because essentially what the censors are trying to do is to deny truth and reality. And that's how we got here. Is in the analog days before the internet, men wanted to get laid. They weren't having success with women, career, all this other things were not working following the official narrative. They did not have success. They sought out alternative explanations. They found it. The internet accelerated our ability to disseminate and research and find out this truth. So the truth will always be there. The censors will always fail. And they could try and ban the books, but it's out there. The ideas are out there, and it's not, you're not putting the genie back in the bottle. Related to that, then, my latest book I just published, the audio came out about 2 weeks ago. So now I can finally market, because all formats are available. A World Without Men, an analysis of an all-female economy. It is way more deep than a mere economic analysis, though it is full of 28, no less than 28 charts, which I know that is going to compel people to buy it. But if you want a sample, I've been putting some audio samples up on my YouTube channel. And so if you just search Aaron Clare, you go to the YouTube channel. You have to click on videos, not live, because YouTube improved it. They just improved things. So you'll see some excerpts there. But yeah, go get your books now. Go buy your video games now. Go get your original Star Wars and Indiana Jones and your DVDs and Blu-rays now, because they are going to change it. They are going to revise history. And so go and make sure you have a physical copy of whatever it is you very much enjoy.
Great stuff, man. Many thanks. And as far as I'm concerned, thanks everybody for coming on and joining the stream today. It's been a great conversation. Props to James Tusk and to Les. Obviously, bad news that they lost their channel, but they will resurrect themselves in due time, I'm sure. And the program that we're running together is called The Edge. As I said before, it's a 10-week dating program, which will change you from flannel to F-boy. Okay. It's going to give you all the tools that you need to go out there and actually be successful with the kinds of women that you want, whether you want to have, a bunch of, one-night stands or casual encounters, or if you want to find that perfect girlfriend. Okay. If you're approaching, or if you're getting dates and you're just not getting traction, it's just not happening for you, then this is what you need, because what this is the bringing together of all the key elements. So yes, we're going to be teaching you the Riz, we're going to be teaching you the game stuff, but we're also going to be teaching you the hormonal optimization stuff, which is super, super important. We're going to be talking about sex and sexual shame. Okay, so giving you confidence in that area. And we're also going to be talking about social freedom and social intelligence as well. Okay, as well as the dark triad stuff, everyone's favorite topic, dark triad. Okay, you've got to be a bit of a bad boy. You've got to be a little bit of a rogue. You've got to have a bit of a twinkle in the eye, like James Bond, Daniel Craig's James Bond. Okay, if you've got all of those elements in place and you follow the program that we set out, within 10 weeks or less, your dating life will improve exponentially. It's only £597 at the moment to buy. We're closing it tomorrow night anyway. The link is in the chat and it's in the description below. So make sure that you jump on board. It is taught by myself, James Tusk, Les, and we've also, because we're doing a bunch of live webinars, and we'll also be getting in a group of different experts from things like hormonal optimization to fitness to combat sports to style and fashion to nutrition. All of these different areas we're going to be covering for you in bi-weekly webinars throughout the whole course. And you get into a private WhatsApp group with us as well. So we'll be your personal wingman for about the next 3 months, which is pretty damn good, really. Anyway, with all of that being said, thanks everybody on the panel for joining me today. It's been a great show, and tune in again, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.